The U.S. and India forging a formidable partnership in defense and security. Bound by shared values and strategic interests, these nations have embarked on a journey of collaboration, innovation, and progress. Through the comprehensive global strategic partnership, the U.S. and India have achieved significant milestones, reaffirming their commitment to a rules-based international order. With leader-level summits, groundbreaking agreements, and technological partnerships, the stage is set for enhanced cooperation in defense. At the heart of this partnership lies the new framework for India-U.S. defense cooperation, solidified in 2015 and elevated to major defense partnership status in 2016. This framework has paved the way for closer collaboration, including in defense industrial cooperation. Aerospace and defense collaborations between U.S. and Indian companies have flourished, leading to co-development, co-production, and skill enhancement. These partnerships have resulted in the production of high-quality, cost-effective defense systems, reducing reliance on single suppliers and enhancing interoperability.
Several U.S. aerospace companies have established partnerships with Indian counterparts, facilitating technology transfer and enhancing indigenous defense production capabilities, including some work that's taking place here in Hyderabad. Both Boeing and Lockheed Martin have set up joint ventures here with Tata, and I think we'll be hearing from some of their implementers as well today. And I've had a chance to visit both, and what an impressive array of production is coming out. And just the diversity also of the workforce, I have to say, is really something to be commended.
Lockheed Martin with Tata Advanced Systems, Boeing with HAL, BAE Systems with various Indian partners, and GE with HAL are just a few examples of successful joint ventures. These collaborations have not only boosted India's defense exports, but also propelled technological innovation in the sector. Now, let's delve into some success stories that underscore the impact of U.S.-India joint defense production. At Lockheed Martin Aerostructures, a manufacturing plant in Hyderabad, stands as a testament to the success of U.S.-India collaboration. From manufacturing aircraft empennages to producing fighter wings, this facility exemplifies the cutting-edge capabilities fostered through partnership.
This is the manufacturing plant that came up from a cornfield in Hyderabad. 2009, this particular center was stood up because we wanted to make one of the aircraft empennages. The empennage is the tail part of the aircraft. Now, people may think it's easy. It's not easy. There are thousands and thousands of parts in that particular tail part of the aircraft. And when we started here, most of it was made in the US. We tried our luck, I should say, to come here in India and start manufacturing them with Tatas. Tata we were the first company where Tata did a joint venture with. They had their first-hand experience of what is aerospace and defense manufacturing. So this is what you see here. And then we had a couple of, if you see the corner right-hand photograph where there's a whole assembly line there, this is something which is state of art. It's the same in the US as well. What you see here, absolutely same in US. And just one more point here quickly. This is the only empennage manufacturing facility of C-130J in the world. We don't have a replicated one that whatever, okay, we'll open another one assembly line. If you stop this, our manufacturing of C-130J stops. That is the trust. The word trust came again and again. That is the trust we have in India, and that is still ongoing. I think that is fulfilled. So coming back to the answer of the trust here. Coming to the brownfield expansion, once we set up this, we started with metal-to-metal bonding. We started with special processes, and these are one state-of-art, very, very technical, but very state-of-art capabilities that we have entrusted to set up here in India. We have developed women aerospace and defense skills with the women who were there in the village. They never knew how to read English. Just imagine how many classes. And today we have given them laptops, each one of them, to develop, and they are far better than men. And we are now making the fighter wings in the same facility. It is very, very important. The fighter wings, other than HAL, none of the private companies in India make any fighter wing. Now, Tata do make fighter wings in the country. So today you can be proud of two things quickly. One, any C-130J aircraft with a rotor wing that you see in the sky, you can always say the tail is made in India. Do you know this? You can always tell that. 200 tails already made and they're flying. Coming to the Sikorsky plant, any S-92 that you see 157 S-92, the whole cabin is made in India, the whole cabin.
Raytheon's presence in India spans decades, with significant investments in infrastructure and manufacturing facilities. With a focus on aerospace and defense exports, Raytheon is contributing to India's emergence as a global player in the defense sector.
So Collins Aerospace is one of the BUs, one of the business units, and we have been in India since 1997. We have 7 facilities. Previous slide, please. We have 7 facilities with almost 5,000 plus employees. We are going to hire 2,000 more as shown on the Buford. Till date, we have invested around $600 million. And when I say that, it is in creation of infrastructure and permanent facilities we have located at Bangalore, in Hyderabad, and in fact, we have inaugurated a new manufacturing facility and a global engineering technology center in November last year, in wherein around $200 million have been spent. So that said, this enterprise is perhaps one of the largest aerospace and defense exporters from the country. We are doing, last year we did $400 million worth of exports, to include $250 million of civil aerospace and defense manufacturing, and $150 million worth of R&D work, which is executed from our centers in Bangalore. And this year we are expecting to cross $500 million. Collins also is partnering extensively with academic partners in the country, NASSCOM, SAE India, and basically working on developing programs under the Skill India project. Next chart, please. Next business vertical is Pratt & Whitney. So Pratt & Whitney has supported India's growth for almost 6 decades plus. And the first being Air India's first Boeing 707, which had come to India. As you can see, we have more than 1,500 engines in the air. And the latest being the C-17 Globemasters, and plus the Pilatus trainers. And apart from that, Pratt & Whitney is also gradually increasing its presence here. And we are in the process of establishing a global engineering technology center. Around $100 million worth of investments are going in this year. Hiring new people, around 1,000 plus people will be hired there. Currently, they have a workforce of almost 700 in the country. They have a R&D center and a training center at Hyderabad. Also, they have research and development partnerships with the IISC, the Indian Institute of Science at Bangalore.
Tata Boeing Aerospace Limited is another shining example of joint production. With projects like the Wave Glider for the Indian Navy and state-of-the-art logistics centers, this partnership is driving innovation and modernizing India's defense capabilities.
Boeing has provided a product called Wave Glider that we're partnering with the Indian Navy on. It is a completely autonomous system that does not need fuel. It can operate 24/7 for a year by harnessing the tidal energy or wave energy, as well as the solar energy. If needed, it'll come up to the surface and provide real-time communication with our Navy, right? So we are helping to modernize the Indian military's preparedness through products, but also maybe, providing our knowledge and expertise in developing a mesh network, both for the Navy, but also as we think about our airspace. Just about 4 days ago, the U.S. government announced the $4 billion in sale of drones and other guided missiles to India. And we are obviously envisioning a world where drones, autonomous systems, and non-autonomous systems are all operating in the same network, operating on the same network. Related to that, we have just last month opened a new logistics center in Uttar Pradesh, because that is one of the defense corridors where we spent 24 million USD to open a 36,000 square foot logistics center. And again, that will help with mobility and then maintaining mission readiness for the region. And then we are also, we just spent, as many of you have seen in the news, we just opened our largest engineering center in Bengaluru. That's where I am today, where we just spent $200 million US, I think 1,600 crores on this new facility, which is the largest Boeing facility outside of the US.
What the government is doing for supporting the industry, we create dedicated aerospace parks. So that's infrastructure side. Policy-wide, we have an aggressive policy of attracting the investments, for all the mega projects, which any of these programs, we kind of offer customized tailor-made policies, which is fairly aggressive. And that's the reason why we see a large number of these investments coming to India, despite there is push for corridors and other, reasons. The government also has been focused on increasing the skilling partnership. So we do have OEM partnership for skilling. We have Center of Excellences with OEMs that were created. Besides, the state has entered into partnership with the global universities like Cranfield University, Embry Aeronautical University, U.S. Basically, wherever the OEMs are there, we try to kind of get their skilling partners to have the same training available in Hyderabad at probably Indian rates. And we obviously have a large number of trained manpower from the huge industrial base already out here. So any country coming in will not face a problem. So our industry is able to quote much better rates, and the reliability, the factor is quite high, and that's something which is certified by most of the OEMs. And one more thing, sir, in fact, both Lockheed and Boeing had said that during COVID period, the support which the state government has provided in allowing them to manufacture critical parts and helping them to transport the manufactured parts across 3 borders with police escort was highly appreciated. And today, almost all of them acknowledge that Hyderabad is the most resilient supply chain hub for them. So in this respect, in fact, the geopolitical reason why a lot of investment comes here is also alluded to earlier. I think we have, from a state side, approached most of the OEMs today, and frequently are in also touch with the tier 1, tier 2s of the OEMs as well, and try to see how we can promote the Indian opportunity, both in the civilian aviation space, the defense side, the space side, as well as the emerging tech side. See, there are certain technological gaps when it comes to aviation, for that matter, but then we are at level playing field when it comes to the emerging tech like the UAVs and 3D printing, etc. I think we are more or less at the same level. So there's a lot of opportunity for collaboration in terms of R&D, in terms of finding the production partners, in terms of even finding opportunities. Because, say for example, for UAVs, we have the first state to come up with their drone policy. We also had facilitated a lot of state-promoted pilot projects to validate use cases for UAVs for mass adoption. Similarly, space, I think we were one of the first state to come up with a space tech policy. We have two of our well-known space startups, the Skyroot Aerospace as well as Dhruva, are the poster boys for the Indian private sector space foray today. So I think the state, as well as has kind of really tried a lot to push.
For which the government policies, though it may not be adequate, are directed towards this. Including, I can speak about the government of Tamil Nadu policies. I would not look at Delhi level. I would rather look at within this state. So we are ensuring that whatever is the gaps which are inhibiting the traditional manufacturers to get into the supply chain of the global or the national majors in the aerospace and defense, whatever is the barriers, we are trying to ensure that these barriers are reduced. I cannot assure that these barriers can be removed, though it's the most desirable, but these barriers would remain in place, and we can only strive to reduce these barriers. And whatever is needed for this, we have established within the state of Tamil Nadu to ensure these barriers are overcome.
we are at a bit of a moment in U.S. India relations, and there is a lot of momentum behind the relationship between both countries. And you see that across the board. You see it in defense, you see it in education, you see it in business, you see it in a growing interest on both sides in connecting and strengthening and deepening the relationship. And a curiosity, I think, that didn't exist even 10 years ago. And this is an amazing opportunity. And it's not one that's limited to what happens in Delhi and Mumbai and Washington and Los Angeles. It is something that you see throughout the country. So as I am posted here in South India with my colleagues covering 180 million people, a swath across southern India into Karnataka, Kerala, and many other places, you see that energy and that momentum reflected in the region too. In conversations like this, with universities, when you go to Bangalore, all of the startups that are working on every part of the relationship, including defense. The opening of the Boeing Research and Development Office, its second largest in the world, a couple of weeks ago, at which the Prime Minister spoke and presided. This is incredibly exciting.
Which necessitate that the indigenization content of any supply which a US OEM is planning to kind of really supply need to be increased. Now, probably there may be reservations with respect to the core technology, but there are a lot of other areas where the Indian MSMEs, the IT firms, the electronic manufacturing firms, etc., can support towards this indigenization goals. And that is one reason why the US OEMs have been aggressively increasing the supply chain base. In fact, they're doing a lot of campaign. If you were to look at it 5 years or 10 years back, for an MSME in aerospace and defense to get into the OEM supply chain, big hurdles, and the learning curve was quite steep, and the time taken was quite long, and many of them really hadn't tried. But those who tried really got. In fact, only the biggies like the Tatas and the Mahindras, or for that matter, Adanis or L&Ts and Godrej's managed to get the large ticket orders. But today, fast forward 4-5 years back, today we have recently seen the listing of Azad Engineering, who is also a supply chain partner of Boeing, just 2 years back. And 2 years prior to that, they were a very small company. So the growth of the MSMEs in the country are spectacularly, quick. And in fact, the advantage which Hyderabad has apparently is that we have close to, our statistics says 1,000 MSMEs who are dedicated into aerospace and defense in various tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 levels, of which probably 200 of them may be really serious players who are mature enough to take on technology. Because one of the main botherations or complaints that the OEMs give when they're insisting on the tech transfer.
Most of these technologies have been developed, designed. That's been done by OEMs predominantly from US and other things. But the manufacturing part, yes, Mr. Balachandran said that the manufacturing part, the niche technologies are not available or not given here. But this is the space where there is considerable amount of real space available for Indian MSMEs. If I quote examples, for example, Rolls-Royce, when they started off with Trent 500 engine, they had something like 1,000 suppliers. For the Trent 700 engine, it became something like 700, less than that. Right now, the number of suppliers, direct suppliers, is very, very low. What does it mean? It is nothing but outsourcing of work. And when the tier 1s take up large number of jobs, it naturally flows to tier 2s and tier 3s. It is at this level where we are in the manufacturing sector because of the increasing. Earlier, the pyramid was just one level, the OEM, tier 1. Whereas now, there is an opportunity for place for multiple tiers, tier 3, tier 4, where industries can chip in.
GE and Tata has got a partnership for building aero engine parts. When they first came here, they clearly said, initially, when we look at India, we'll never give the engine technology or anything to do with engine to a country like India. They would think of Korea or Taiwan because that's the perception of the country. And in fact, when Tata's took over, Tata's being a large group, they managed to get it. They took over some 20% was the market share of some of the critical parts which they're doing. So last month when I visited Tata, the same parts, or rather large number of them were automated. In fact, they did a lot of process engineering, and today they are single source supplies to a lot of the critical parts, and 80% market share is what they say for those products which used to be manufactured there.
At the domain level, specific domain level, as I said, I think we need to sit together more often. Our thought sets, the way we think, need to come together at the functional level.
I think artificial intelligence is the end state. What you need is actually big data. Because when you look at artificial intelligence, it acts on a huge amount of data. And really speaking, when we look at it from a defense perspective, there are three aspects we should be very clear about. First is, do you have trusted data? That's the start point. Do you have adequate volume of data that you need? And when we look at big data, it has its own characteristic. Do you have that characteristic? Today, we are, as far as India is concerned, we are still consolidating our big data. We have a digital public infrastructure. A lot of data has come in there. But when we look at it from a defense perspective, a lot of data needs to be generated for the kind of requirement for artificial intelligence. So where are we? We are today at data which gives us what is called business intelligence. We are at a stage where data gives us augmented intelligence. That means a human interface to take decisions. But do we have enough data for artificial intelligence? Not in all space. And that's where a lot of jointmanship, a lot of effort has to come in. We look at an Indo-US AI-based relationship. It's a combination of sensors, that is semiconductors, quantum, that is compute, and then analytics, big data analytics, which could be BI, augmented intelligence leading to artificial intelligence.
Whether it's trade or business or education or defense, it needs everybody. To be successful, we need every part of India. All of the innovation centers in Bangalore, Chennai, Coimbatore, Pune, the universities, the research and development centers, the SMEs, the micro enterprises. We're coming up with new words to describe these things every day because there's so much growth. We need everybody with their hands on the wheel.